is Allah's grace. He gives it to whom he pleases, and Allah is ample giving and knowing. Now we end. Don't you see, beloved, in your life and in mine, there are things that happen that you don't understand. And those things that happen in your personal life or in our national life that we don't understand, we do have a tendency to make a judgment. And sometimes we make such a harsh judgment, we turn away from a friend. We turn away from our mothers. We turn away from our fathers or our husbands or our wives because of something that came up that we don't understand. While if we could have just held on a little longer and had a little more patience, understanding might have come to show us the wisdom of God in what was done. Now, you see the picture? Yes, sir. The wise man said to Moses, we must part company. And now I will explain to you why I did what I did. When the man took me across and you across in the boat, he was such a good man. And I knew that a wicked king was coming behind, confiscating the boats of the people. So I put a hole in the man's boat that the wicked king would not see it because it would be sunk. And when the wicked king will have passed over, that man could retrieve his boat, plug up the hole, and sail on. Would that you had patience with me. When I met this righteous couple who had a child, I saw that if the child were allowed to live, that child would grieve his righteous parents. So I took the life of that child in its youth. Yes, the parents were troubled, but they would have been more troubled had that child grown up to bring grief on the parents. But I also gave those parents, a righteous child that will make the parents happy. So the happiness and the joy of a righteous child will make them forget the loss of the child that they had. And now, when I got to that house and I saw the wall there with the treasure in the wall, you were thinking about your stomach. But I saw in the future 2 orphan boys that money was meant for. And I knew that if these in that house who were so niggardly had seen that treasure, they would have usurped it. So I built a wall around the treasure, knowing that at the proper time and under the right circumstances, those 2 orphan boys would find that wall and find that treasure. This is why you cannot have patience with me, because you see only today. You see only your need. You do not see what God sees. And so you must trust in God in order for God to guide you when you don't understand what he is doing. Now, the meaning of that. Look at the Nation of Islam. How we love the nation. Look at what Elijah Muhammad built up for black people. It was like a ship, an old ship of Zion that we were in. The ship never did get lost. A hole was put in it. And when a king would come that would not be righteous, confiscating the boats, I allowed this one to sink, because when the wicked king would have done his job, all we would have to do is bring it up from the bottom, put a hole, plug the hole back up, clean it up, and there would be your Nation of Islam, never having gone any place. But you couldn't have patience with me. And there was a righteous parent, 2 of them, and they had a child. And that child was called the old nation of Islam. That child had become corrupt. And I knew that if the child had lived, it would have grieved its righteous parents, Master Farad Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I allowed that child to die, knowing that I'm going to bring up a new child, a new nation that would give joy to those parents. And lastly, but not least, I know in order for that nation to survive, it's going to need money. And so I buried the treasure for that nation in a wall, and there were two little orphan boys, deprived of both their mother and their father, knowing they have a nation on their shoulders. But I have prepared a treasure for them in advance. But I hid it, and at the proper time, under the right circumstances, they'll go to the right wall. And there will be the money needed to go on and build the nation. You see, you couldn't have patience with me. And because you did not have patience, we must part company. And many of us parted company with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his teachings. So the Quran says, O you who believe, should any one of you turn back from his religion, then Allah will bring a people whom he loves. When I hear Jesse Jackson, I hear a man who loves God. When I hear Pastor T.L. Barrett or Reverend Hardy or Reverend Franklin, I hear a man who loves God. So when you are consumed with the love of God, God loves you. Now look at what is to happen with that. Then you become humble toward believers. I have never seen in Nasi Asiel Ben Israel the power of his ability to wage war. He has never seen that power in me, because when we meet each other, we're too busy kissing, hugging. I don't mean it in no... No, I don't mean it in that way. When we embrace each other with love, we are humble toward each other, because it is not necessary for us to show forth power with one another. When I meet you, I feel honest and truth, just like a little worm. I feel so small. I don't feel like no big shot, because I'm in the presence of believing people. When you saw me on Nightline, you saw a different kind of man. That's a different kind of man. You saw a man ready to go to war then. Well, I don't have to show you that, because you're a believer in God. I'm facing the enemies of God now. Then you see coming out of a lamb, a lion. Why? Because I'm humble to the believer. That's right. But I will be mighty God, and God loves me. And so the scripture says of us, we strive hard in God's way. And look now, and we don't fear the censure of any censurer. And it's true. I listen and I look at the things that they say about me, and I laugh. I tell you the truth, the best laughs that I have had in the last 7 years is reading the cartoons that white folk have put in the paper with respect to Reverend Jackson and myself. They had a cartoon of me. I was like a bulldog in this cartoon. And I had my mouth open, and it was red and livid, and saliva was coming down from my teeth, you know. And I had a little bow tie on, you know. And Jesse had the bulldog, boy, and he was trying to hold the dog, but the dog was about to eat up the press. The press was sitting in the chair, shaking. When I read that, I just laughed. They had another cartoon of Reverend Jackson and myself. We were hugging each other up, you know. He had his arm around me, and I had my arm around him. And he was holding up a trophy. You know, it was around the time of the Oscars. He was the #1 actor, you know what I mean? Performer. And I was holding mine up for the best supporting actor. Then they had another one. Yeah, they had a little sign on top of my trophy saying, "Vote for Jesse or else." And they had another one. Farrakhan looks bigger than life. I mean, a man with huge shoulders. Big bow tie stretched across. And a white man is coming out of the polling booth. And my hand is behind my back, you know. But I look huge, and I say to him, "Oh, and by the way, who did you vote for?" Man says, did you happen to vote for Jesse? Nah. I voted for Mondale. And the next thing you see me with a scimitar, and I had just lopped off this man's head. You see his head tumbling off. Farrakhan killed him because he didn't vote for Jesse. Then they had another one. Brother Farrakhan, he looking huge again, you know what I mean? Well, this is the way they see a man of truth. They see me looking huge. All the men around me looking huge, you know? And they have a sign on here saying, "Ayatollah Farrakhan. Vote for Jesse or else." Now, what they're saying, see, they don't realize what they're saying. The wise do. Ayatollah Farrakhan, the word Ayatollah means, ayat means a sign. Ayatollah means a sign of Allah. This man here is standing behind the rostrum, they're saying, is a sign of God. Be careful. You'll lose your head over him. See, the wise see it different, but the funniest one of all, they have me in this paper. I have a big sign on here saying, "Hi, I'm Louis Farrakhan." And then they have my mouth opened up, looked like a cannon, you know, long out here like this. This is my mouth. And smoke is coming out of my mouth, meaning I had just blew somebody away, you know. And Jesse with his hand behind, one hand behind his back and his other hand in the pocket like this, and said, "And we'll go on now to the next question." Now, beloved, I've really laughed heartily. But I want to say as I leave you that God has fixed it so for us that we're not afraid of their disapproval of us as long as we know that we are right. And because we are not afraid of their disapproval anymore, they become afraid of ours. You are a new generation. You represent a new day, a new world order. So lift up your heads and gird up your loins, for a food is coming down from heaven that will ease our hearts and make us to know that what we learned from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it is the truth.